Hey everyone, this is Stingray coming at you live. Basically, I'm on the way to take a walk. And I try to multitask as much as I can. And in that process, I've come to realize that there are people who really do want to hear what I'm saying. I'm saying some interesting things. I'm touching on subjects that perhaps nobody else wants to touch on because of whatever, stigma, shame, call it whatever you want. But if you're listening to this message is going to resonate with you because you understand what I'm saying. So I'd like to talk about bullying. And bullying is a serious topic, and it definitely has happened to me. I'm going to tell you from the beginning, I'm not trying to masquerade around what I'm talking about, but my own father bullied me, and he continues to bully me. And I'm saying this publicly, not to shame my dad. I mean, obviously, I have a small channel. It's intimate, you know. You are my friends and family. And so you're hearing this story. And as you're hearing this story, I'm going to tell you these things that are going to make you uncomfortable. But do me a favor and just kind of hang in there for a little bit and let's talk about perspective. Now, if the very thought of this conversation that I'm saying right now causes any kind of nervousness or feelings of shame or upset, be calm. Take a breath. Just because I'm talking with such passion about this subject doesn't mean that I'm attacking anyone. Not in the same way I've been attacked, at least. So, that's where this topic about bullying comes in, and that's where me telling you I'm not shaming the person in being named here. I actually hope that they will see this content. And what I mean is, there are different levels of awareness. Some people will call it sobriety, whatever. But if your attention is so short that you can't hear the story that I'm telling you, then you might not have time to be sitting here having a personal conversation with me. If you do have that time, you'll hear what I'm saying, which is bullying is a very difficult subject to talk about because some of us have been bullied. And so the very notion of bullying can make us uncomfortable. Now, the very second part that I said was my father is a bully. That part, if that makes you uncomfortable, that's also a notion that can make you uncomfortable, but don't tune out because there's way more to this story. So, and it's a story of success because anytime we can get our message through with peaceful communication, and while people can understand and process those things with what's the thing that Spock has? His logic, with logic. When someone can hear something with logic, they'll hear, I'm talking about bullying. I'm telling you an example of a bully in my life right now. And I'm telling you in this way because basically when I talk with certain people, those people are unable to have that conversation with me fully. And they're not able to accurately assist when assistance is needed. And so I'm going to tell you a story about a bully who definitely is someone who concerns me. And I'm just telling you my concerns because you have to name your concern and what you want in order to receive what you want. These are the law of attraction. These are the things that we would do as we were praying, you know, as we're humbling ourselves to the universe, saying, thank you, God, so much for everything that I have, every opportunity to go for a walk on Friday with this amazing navigation system that's basically getting me from point A to point B while negating traffic delays. And that allows me this level of calm where I'm fully aware of all the traffic around me. I love to drive. If you've heard my navigation system talking to you, this is a 2017 Jeep Trailhawk, and I love it so much that I'm going to make a guitar that has a Jeep theme. That'll be for another segment, another story for another day. But these are the success results that came from this bullying that I'm telling you that I'm experiencing. This whole story ties together. There's a bus way back here, a school bus. I'm taking you guys to school right now. And you're going to hear me because you understand what I'm talking about. Now that you understand my mission and the challenges, then you'll be more cognizant of what it is that I'm talking about. Now, my dad is a bully, and some of the things that he did and constantly does even to this point is become physically abusive. Now, some of you guys who and ladies, no disrespect when I say guys, this is just how I was brought up in my era. I might say things that differ from your thoughts and that are slightly varied from what you're saying, but really I'm saying the same thing that's triggering those emotions in your mind that are causing a little bit of concern because I'm talking with such passion. The sun is rising over here in the east, and it's beautiful. I mean, you can see it in my sunglasses. I'm looking at the road, but I'm turning my head just for you so you can see this. It's magnificent. If only you could see. And if only I could see it too, you know? And that's the beauty of life. We all can see beauty if we choose to see it. The question is, are we paying attention to everything else that's going on? Some of us, just like in the story The Matrix, are able to process things so tremendously quick, and it's almost a matter of having been done over the course of time for survival. Some people talk about survival, and some people don't understand bullying that includes physical abuse from someone who was basically supposed to be nurturing you, but instead, in the words of the common segment of society today, he's an asshole. And I don't mean that with disrespect, it's just how it's defined. If you ever have someone call you names, belittle you, and try to command everything that you do because of their narcissistic traits, then you tend to understand when I talk about confirmation, there are certain things that confirm what's going on. There are certain energies. I'm hyped up, man. I want to talk about this. Bullying. Some of the first experiences I had being bullied were during my little league experience, something that I guess one of my parents wanted to put me through. I had no interest in it. I wasn't physically coordinated. I was gawky. I was more into poems and coloring and playing with G.I. Joes, stuff like that. It's so funny what the adult mind can comprehend and hear as humor, as you know, you understand what I'm saying. Everyone understands what I'm saying because we're on the same page. I'm grateful. I'm gloriously grateful to be alive today. There are so many decisions that I've made throughout my past that have led me into your life right now. And we can't deny it. The question is whether you can hear my emotion properly. And until we're tuned in, you can't hear this story about bullying. So, talking about Little League right now. And this is a long drive, and I've got other things to focus on. So, you know, if you can't focus on what I'm saying, and I can, start to wonder, is my mind at ease, or did this guy make me nervous the second he started talking about bullying? Or is he just using so many words I'm tuning out? This is a boring book. Confirmation. I use a lot of words.
Turn left. Route recalculation.
And some of that is because there are so many distractions. But my words betray my very being. And so does everyone's words. And that's why my words, telling you, coming from a perspective of someone who's been bullied, sometimes will resonate with you. And sometimes it won't resonate with you. And the reason it might not resonate with you is because you're tuning out due to fear, or because this doesn't apply to you. But it might apply to someone in your own. There's the sun behind you. You see it? You got to see the sunrise. How amazing. So, again, bullying is something that may or may not resonate with you, but it probably resonates with someone you know. And the reason you know it is because your communications are always right on track. And then you disagree so strongly about something that you just can't talk with this other person. These are called twin flame effects. Twin flames, or whatever you want to call it, are something, I can't remember, there's another term that I'll remember in a while what it's called. Soulmates. I think that's the other term. But either way, these are your mirrors. And when you have these conversations with one another where you can't agree if you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you can't agree if someone can be same-sex marriage or not, if you can't agree that you're hitting people, you're physically abusive, and other people are asking you to please stop, if you can't agree that you're taking advantage of a system that's draining the resources that some of us don't have access to, and I mean that in a tiered way, because I know that look at what I'm doing. I'm grateful for it. That's what I'm telling you. And I recognize that there is an extreme difference in terms of what some people are able to perceive and achieve, and others are not. For me, gratitude was the only thing that influenced whether or not I could talk effectively with bullies. Not in a hostile way, but in a constructive way. So, in a constructive way, talking with a bully, what I would like to say is that if, especially during the current year, calendar year, guys, just roll with me on this one, you've been physically struck by someone you know, you're being bullied, you're being abused. If there are billboards that are talking about not punching spouses, this is extreme. When someone is willing to physically hurt you. And at the same time, there are traits that lead up to that inevitable conclusion. And those are bullying traits. And bullies are people who will ghost you. Whether the technology is just a telephone or the whole of the internet that we have today to communicate with one another. Bullies will ghost you. If, for an example, let's just say my dad has an awake moment and he's shown by somebody this very video. If a bully were to see this, they might get so mad because they've been called out in public. That's a narcissistic tendency, to be so vehemently violent against being called out in public. And at the same time, that's a necessary process when you're working in group therapy, and we are all in group therapy right now. And I say that because during this unique era where other people are panicking and they cannot respond to one another with rational conversation, question type inquiries, when we can't respond with one another, we gotta wonder, are many of us becoming bullies and we just didn't realize it? We're all conditioned a certain way, but until we recognize that I'm talking about bullying right now and somehow this is touching your heart, until you recognize it, you're still going to be like, God, this guy's saying so many words, get to the point. The point is that if we're talking about this and you're just now hearing it and you're the bully, it's tough. Whatever you're going through. And other people have and are going through the same thing as time goes by. In other words, there is a lot of hurt, and a lot of us have been hurt. But that was then, baby. Today, I just got to see the sunrise. I got to share that with you. Do you guys find value in these stories I'm sharing with you? I'd like to take a moment to ask you to subscribe to this channel if this message is at all resonating with you. And go ahead and click on the little bell also so you can be notified when I upload a new video. I'm laughing because I'm talking like, I'm saying the words. I don't feel like I should be asking anyone else to help. And at the same time, we recognize that this story has to resonate in order to help. So that's why I'm asking you that favor to click on the subscribe button. And I'm kind of laughing because it's like, I'm not trying to sell out, but I do need some assistance to achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve, especially when it comes to talking with bullies. I have an urgent need to talk with a specific bully who has recently concerned people enough to where we don't know if he's going to physically harm somebody else. And many people who know this individual know that the contents of his home are in disarray right now. This is a common trait, disarray. When we have things out of order, when we're totally sloppy, when we do not care about the cleanup process of the messes that we are creating, that can lead to some inappropriate behavior. And it goes across the board. I mean, all the way down to murder. And I'm laughing a nervous laughter because I've talked with people, many people. I don't want to identify anyone else. Just the one bully that I would like to talk with, clearly, at some point. And by talk with, what I mean is this person has to recognize me to the point where he understands, my God, how could I ever hit this guy? He's nice. He does well. He's kind to wildlife. It's very personal, what I'm telling you. You recognize it, and like I said, it's a long story. I can't just tell this story and have it be so short and curt. I can't have somebody not listen to it. This has to be heard because I think people would benefit. And I mean that in a myriad of ways. And if only one person benefited, I would hope that it would be the person who I intend this video for. So imagine the conversation from my perspective when I say within this calendar year, this person was a silver alert. The whole reason I started recording this message was because I saw a silver alert sign, on the trans guide. And the silver alert is when an elderly person gets in a car and ends up disappearing. This very well could have been what my dad was, except for we don't really all keep tabs on what he's doing every day, and we don't expect for him to do what he did, which was to wind up in a whole different county. He was such a concern by somebody that somebody else got in touch with me, and we both went to go and go and check on my father. When we practically had arrived at his home, we got a call from a few places, but one was also the sheriff's department, from which my dad was trying to reach out in order to find out how to get back to his own home, because somehow he drove to another county and basically just turned himself in to the sheriff's office. This isn't a funny story. There's no punchline to this. It's a deep emotional story. YouTube. Well, I'm sharing this with my friends. If it helps other people, great. I want to help one person, and at the same time, I've wanted to help many people. I've demonstrated this in a lot of different ways. And there are many people who will continue to not see what I'm talking about. However, I can assure you that there was a cat down the road who helped inspire me to learn that eating differently could change my entire life. Which is basically why I'm talking about bullying. Because we are all conditioned, we are all trained on a multitude of levels to just segregate ourselves just enough to where it's like the very notion of hearing a topic turns us off to hearing the message, which is kind of universal. Peace is peace. In this particular case, we drove to the other place, which was about, I don't know, an hour and a half away from where we were at that point in time, to pick up my dad. My dad was suddenly quite different from what normally we would expect. He was calling the other person names. He tried to jump out of my moving vehicle. He hit me. He robbed a convenience store. I'm wording it strongly, but literally he went into a store and just kind of threw some change down, which wasn't enough to pay for the items that he ran out of the store with. And while the employees were chasing him out of the store, I was on the phone trying to get dispatch to understand, my dad, I need help. I need help. I can't rein in this bully. An adult toddler during a tantrum. Dispatch didn't want to help. And as the employees ran out, like right then, they were yelling at my dad, "Hey, are you going to pay for that?" And I said, "Tell me your address." And I said, "Listen, the employees are out here. My dad's running out into the parking lot. He's running. Oh my God, a car is almost going to..." And then this car stops. And a woman gets out and walks up to dad like, "What the heck are you doing?" And my dad kind of walks up to her. My dad was about to bully that woman because his adult tantrum toddler, you can hear a lot of emotion. I want to say things. His childlike, I don't even want to call it innocence. His childlike attitude made it so that he ran out into the parking lot. Almost got struck by an angel. And the angel gets out. And she stands to dad. As soon as he got confrontational, she says, "You sit down on the curb." And she made him sit down. In order to talk to a bully, sometimes you need a collective conscious, a collective awareness of what bullying can be, what it can lead to, how long it lasts when someone is not course corrected early. The later, the harder it is. And it introduces a conversation again to where it's like, I know that I'm addressing this video as if it's directly to our father, my dad, your dad, you. but it's also addressing our mothers. There are a lot of things that they can hear or not hear. I know there are several. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? There was a. It looks like a beautiful house finch. It's a female. Beautiful birds here at the park today. There's been a decline in insects here. I can tell you that for a fact. Whether it's alarming to you or not, it's just an observation to me. Almost, it's tragic and interesting because the things that are paying attention are basically accounting for the changes and persisting. And I think the bullies who aren't teaming up with other people are kind of failing, you know, and that's just a common observation. Please don't become upset when you hear these things, but having an out of order home or place that you call home, particularly when you're maybe raising or have already raised generations of offspring. These are things that we need to course correct from sooner rather than later. So I'm talking about this topic, bullying. I'm telling you my own father. I'm giving you examples of how it applies across the board. And that's so that my father can hear he's not alone. You know, I'm a bully. I've been a bully. We learn, but we only learn when there's conversation. And someone would look at me and think, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's big. He looks like he's a mountain man. It's kind of like all the memes that we see on the internet with the beautiful bikers. You know, it's a genre, you know, like everything else. A rock star looks like a rock star. What does a rock star look like? Kind of like Jesus Christ. Going up on stage with the confidence, knowing peace is peace. It's like, you can do whatever. If I die happy, what great, reward will there be to meet me in heaven? If I die unhappy, Lord help me. I'm absolutely happy to be bringing you this opportunity. We all have the opportunity. You saw something fly over. Usually a bird flies over right when I'm telling the most important thing. We all have this opportunity to live life without fear and without shorting ourselves. So I'm going to go on a little bit more about this bullying. Yes, this could be considered airing laundry, publicly. Some people will see that in a meme and think, my God, that's what they're doing. And so they'll form a conclusion and they'll never hear the story. Some people will recognize it from the son's perspective. I mean, I literally was just struck by this guy who I can only command him so much. He's not to be commanded. I'm not his father. I'm not my father's keeper. So it gets challenging because as a family member who I love my dad. It's why I continue to try to contact him both on the phone, in person. There are songs, that I've written. And if you listen to my sad songs, if you're able to tune into the words just to hear the story, there are songs, that tell a story. It's almost universal though, because I've met many bullies, and almost everybody is a bully when someone comes out as their true self. Therein becomes the conundrum, because apparently there are levels of false identities that cause us just enough discomfort that we don't even carry forward a conversation about bullying because it resonated with us in a scary way. I hope that everything I'm saying isn't scary. I hope it's not offensive to you. To all of you who are listening, there's probably a few more now, I'm not sure. But to all of you who are listening, you're hearing a story and then you're understanding, that's why the emotion is just a little bit different, you know? It's a darker energy. Some of the things that people bring. The sarcasm, the humor, you know it. We all know it. The hard part is just remaining calm and hearing things for what they are. You know, I get passionate about the things I talk about, so sometimes I'm really wound up. And I'm wound up because it's like I'm coming up with my own income by telling this story. And I don't mean that in a strange way where it's like I'm trying to make money from these situations. What I mean is, our world is transmitted in data that's shared universally. If we all have difficulty talking about something, we might also all have difficulty understanding that time is money, and I'm bringing you information that's valuable. You value it. You're listening to it, right? So let me ask you, if you've clicked subscribe, if you've clicked the bell, have you ever shared these videos? You're welcome to. And I tell you that because you may not have ever been bullied. You may not need to hear anything about bullying. But I can assure you, there are many who can stand to re-bridge the friendships that existed. And the first thing that's probably needed is for a bully to hear the message. So I'm posting this. It's public. It's for your consideration as to what you do with the information you've just received. I, in particular, can stand to use an amount of monetary compensation that's not based on produce or products, I should say. Maybe it is produce, but products. I don't need to make shirts that are bought in bulk, that are manufactured. It's like we have plenty of Goodwills with all kinds of shirts. I don't need to make something that causes another thing to be built. What I need is for this bully to hear me. And the only way I can translate that into something they can hear is if what I'm doing is valued. And the only way it can be valued is if somebody shares this content and does something with it. I'm not sure who you are out there who's going to help me maybe a little bit more than others, but it sure would help if a bully would contact me and we could make a new video that talked about how we worked through that, so that another person who is working through struggling with these type of traits can also hear the message. So, are you or were you a bully? And you might want to talk about these things together. I'm not sure. I'm reaching out to whoever it is, sending out an SOS, and I'm about to go have an amazing walk in nature. It's going to be an amazing weekend. The peaches, the orchards have opened up in Fredericksburg, and you can go and pick peaches right now. I highly encourage anyone around to consider having some fresh produce that was raised locally. Those kind of things, especially starting out the day with those kind of things, definitely improve your day. And walking in nature absolutely improves your day. If you live in nature, my hat's off to you. I live in nature. The nature that I have in my area is abundant, and it's because we contribute. We, as living in a residential area, we have the luxury of putting up bird feeders, and so I tend to nurture the wildlife, and the vegetation in my area so that I can have my own nature right where I'm at. I'm just going here so I can get in a longer walk over some more rugged terrain and train for an upcoming outing that I'm hosting. I hope that you have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Blessings to everybody. Peace, love, and all that new age stuff. And thank you so much for subscribing, for listening, for enjoying my content. Thank you for coming to these places with me, virtually or otherwise. And thanks for riding along with me. Hope you have a great day. Peace.